Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Swarm Community Call, the special edition of Solstice. Thanks for joining us from all over the world. Me, myself, I'm Migle. I will be your host, and I am saying hello from Patagonia Mountains in Argentina. The Solstice edition is a beautiful metaphor of where we are right now, both in the industry and in the year. A turning point, a moment to pause, to look back and turn around, also see what's coming up next. And today, those are the specific goals of our community call to reflect on what we've built and what we focused on in the last half of the year and share a clear picture of where Swarm is going into the coming year as well. Before we jump into all of that, I just wanted to reflect on where we are right now in Web3 space. It seems like we are slowly coming back to the core values of why blockchain was started to begin with. Privacy and permissionless access is becoming something that everyone is focusing on. However, we see more and more companies that have been building in a silence coming out to shine more. That is something beautiful because building the infrastructure is something that provides a true, real value. And we see more companies that have been building in silence, bringing out amazing products that are being used more by the community to build on, to add on. Helping people to reclaim digital sovereignty became at the epiphany, at the concentration in the industry this year as well, instead of just renting it from the platforms as well. And this is exactly where Swarm was always meant to serve, to give permissionless access. So zooming into the Swarm, our promise has been clear from the beginning, a truly decentralized network for data, storage, access, communication that lives up to those values. And so important to say that this is not a marketing slogan. This is not something that we started working on because it became a hype or because it became something popular in recent times. This is a real infrastructure anyone can run and anyone can build on. No permission needed, no privacy sacrifice, and no hidden central control. While we build on decentralized network, we have to acknowledge certain challenges that we face. It is not an easy path because it brings technical complexity, coordination challenges, and trade-offs between speed, usability, and design purity. But the key message here is that if sometimes what we're speaking about today feels rougher, it's because we're optimizing for the resilience, trust, and a long-term meaning, not the headline. So we're not trying to be the company that jumped in onto something that is hyped right now. We're doing something that has been meaningful for us for the past years. So before we jump into all of this, because we don't want to just talk about it, we want to show it, all of it to you. We will speak about core developments and client evolution, UX improvements, positioning in Web3, and where we stand with decentralized AI, the partnerships, the fellowships, and at the very least, we're going to even open a box of tokenomics reshape and get a little bit more into detail about it. But before we go into all of this, I would like to give a floor and welcome on stage wonderful human being, a Sander Nagy, who is Swarm Foundation's COO, to kick us off with overlooking. Sander.
Thank you, Migla, for the great welcome. It's a privilege to be here, and thank you all for joining us today. Let's look at a quick review of the last half year. Yes, I'm going to be short and honest. We faced really hard questions. What shall we build to drive adoption? Who shall we partner with? Are we on track to justify the trust that our early investors, supporters, and community members placed in Swarm? Our team has answered these questions. So let me pause here and say a big thank you, a huge thank you to our newly formed teams, because what they have done in the last 6 months is great. It's not always flashy, but it's foundational. They have simplified the stack, so it's much easier to build on Swarm. improve the user experience. We will have to do more on that. And we also opened the gate for AI agents and the future data marketplace. We enhanced streaming and publicly launched for our first partners. So they can use our streaming services now. Scaling software solutions are always challenging, and we are tackling those challenges one by one because this is the way to turn a vision into a functioning system. I want to acknowledge something clearly. We have not yet delivered a success story, not in terms of adoption or tokenomics, and not in terms of narrative dominance. If you have been with us from the early days, you must have felt frustration, seen delays, and also seen us taking a more intricate route instead of an expedient one. And that's on us. We own that. However, I also want to be very clear about why the past 6 months have been crucial. We intensified efforts on practical use cases where Swarm is a key technology for solving real-world problems, not just internal Web3 experiments. We put more energy into developer experience, so it's much easier and quicker to build on Swarm today. We aligned our roadmap so that Swarm can become an emerging decentralized AI infrastructure. In other words, we are reconnecting Swarm with the original motivation for decentralized systems, to give people infrastructure that makes a difference in their lives, starting from control over their data through censorship-resistant distribution to privacy-preserving AI workflows. I can't promise you easy wins or overnight success. What I can say is this: the direction we have chosen over the last 6 months is the right one. Our focus is much sharper now on stability, usability, and real-world integrations. And the roadmap you will hear about today is designed to restore Swarm's place as a key piece of technology in the decentralized stack, not by shouting louder, but by solving real problems. So, to our early investors, supporters, node operators, and the community, thank you for your patience. Thank you for holding us to a high standard. And also thank you for staying with us while we do the unglamorous work that will truly matter in the long run. The story of decentralized systems has always been a long game. Our job now is to make Swarm's role in that story clear, credible, useful. With that, let's get concrete and look at what we have today and where are we heading. Thank you.
Thank you, Sander, for all of the words and being so honest and vulnerable with us and addressing the things that are going well and the things where we're heading forward as well. I think I've known you for a while now as well, and seeing a person that is truly reflective is something quite unique in our industry as well. So I'm just excited because I have seen a lot of the further on presentations and what you have been building for the past half a year. So thank you so much for giving this very concrete introduction as well. And without any further ado, I just want us to go forward. And first, we will walk through the current state of the network and the B client. So for that, there's no better person to walk us through this than our own product owner, Nikki Papadatou. Nikki, the floor is yours.
Hi, Migle. Very nice to see you here. Let me share my presentation, and off we go. Okay, cool. So, hello everyone. and welcome to the Winter Solstice Community Call. I'm Nikki, Product Owner for the BN Research Teams, and today I'm excited to take you through a reflection of the past year, of course, Swarm teams, and a look at the foundation we are setting for 2026. So the previous year has been a year of strengthening and a year of real momentum for Swarm. When we look back at the past 12 months, it's clear how much has shifted, not just in the code, but also in our clarity, our priorities, and the pathway ahead. This year was about improving fundamentals, removing friction, and preparing Swarm for broader adoption. So one of the biggest themes in 2025 was client maturity. We made Swarm significantly easier and more reliable to run. Node spin-up time dropped from around 40 minutes to under 5, removing a major source of frustration for operators. In the same release, we made warm-up and syncing more stable, giving nodes much more predictable startup behavior. Also, erasure coding was strengthened, improving reconstruction and data recovery. We refined pull syncing and feeds behavior, making network operations clearer and more consistent. And throughout the year, we delivered continuous improvements, smaller ones from garbage collection to stamp handling to retrieval. Altogether, these changes made a very real difference. Swarm is now far more stable than it was 12 months ago, far more predictable and significantly smoother to operate. In parallel, several major efforts were completed this year and will shape the beginning of 2026. Auto TLS is there, implemented, tested, waiting to be shipped, and it enables secure, seamless connections for all clients. The same with multiple underlay support, underlay address support that improves its ability and will be essential for browser and mobile nodes. We also made broad protocol and reliability refinements, better syncing, chunk handling, stability improvements, and at the same time, pinning behavior and edge cases received targeted fixes, making content persistent more predictable. And we added groundwork for sampling and performance, reducing node load and improving responsiveness. And feeds show improvements that made their behavior clearer and more consistent. Together, these efforts prepare Swarm for our next steps, sending the fundamentals for a stronger, more accessible year ahead. Another important topic this year was accessibility, bringing Swarm closer to the users and enabling new types of clients. The in-browser node emerged through the work of community contributors, and it demonstrates how lightweight and accessible Swarm can become. Identity management research also moved forward. This project aims to decouple user identity from nodes' wallet identity, paving the way for portable, user-controlled identities. It lays the foundation for future monetization and access control models across decentralized application. We have also seen our ecosystem partners exploring the possibility and the potential of building a mobile client, which will be a huge step towards lightweight application and easy onboarding to Swarm. And throughout all of this, the core team support the community by delivering the protocol and client upgrades needed for all these initiatives by our contributors in order to make them, to see them successful. We are here to enable a future where our clients and are more lightweight, more diverse, and far more accessible. So, what does this all mean? 2025 made Swarm faster, more stable, more accessible, provided more diverse in client options, and more predictable for both operators and builders. in many ways, this year set the stage for broader adoption in 2026. With a stronger foundation under us, 2026 is about advancing the capabilities that matter most and scaling Swarm into a more mature, more widely usable network. And here is what we have in a nutshell for the next year. And there are two main tracks. The first one is stability, reliability, and developer tooling. We will continue strengthening our release process and cadence, and we will expand the networks and nodes monitoring regarding performance and behavior. In the context of developer tooling, we are planning to improve our testing frameworks and internal tooling, enabling faster and safer development, very well related to how we release the new B versions. And last, we have already have a list with known issues around pool syncing, staking, sampling, and overall network performance, targeted fixes that we are going to address. The second track for 2026 is core features. This year, we saw identity management idea kickstarting, and our immediate plans include this moving towards an MVP. The same with in-browser node. All the groundwork is ready, and we can't wait to see it working as a ready and real MVP. At the same time, work on the mobile node MVP continues with our ecosystem partners. And as always, our core team will be there to support with any protocol upgrades. Of course, these are only some of the immediate plans we have, and there are many more foundational changes that will be taking place throughout the year. 2026 is about extending the strong groundwork laid this year and continuing to unlock new opportunities for the entire ecosystem. So Swarm is not only about the network, it's about its people, it's about its values and principles, and it's about its contributors and community. Without all this and all of you, this network would not be so special, and this is something we truly recognize and appreciate. Together, we are building a Swarm that is stronger, more accessible, and ready for the future we create. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today with us, keeping with us, and for being part of this journey. As always, feel free to reach out on Discord or by mail, and I'm looking forward to everything we'll build together in the next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki, so much. I know you personally for a while as well, and it's always incredibly interesting to hear the updates. Before you run out, I actually have a couple of follow-up questions, if that's all right. Yes, don't just run out. So lots of the items released with the upgrades were developed to facilitate the in-browser client projects led by community members. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Absolutely. So actually, the best ideas that are coming always to Swarm are coming from our contributors, are coming actually from the community that they're the actual users. And one of these is actually the B in browser. At the moment, we are seeing two parallel efforts in this direction. Some of them are more, one of them is slightly more mature, the other one not so much, but we are always happy to contribute on our side on the protocol changes that we would like to see. All this is a great thing. It's paving the way to see more applications running on the browser, to have more applications running on Swarm and have a much easier onboarding. So we welcome everyone to bring their ideas, to promote projects, and we are here to support in the same way we are doing with the identity management, in the same way we are doing with the Beam browser.
Final question to you. What would be your most wow, we got this type of a client or a product that you would see coming out in the next couple of months?
I would like to see people talking about applications on Swarm. Seriously, this is the best I could hear. I would love to go next year to to Mumbai, to DevCon, I don't know, and hear people discussing about this fantastic application they tried on Swarm and how nice it works. I would love, seriously, to hear about feedback. I would like to hear what's not great and what we need to improve, because this means that people have actually tried and they have like opinions about how to improve things, because there is no perfect product, nothing is perfect, but what it really matters is getting like better and better every day.
That's amazing, Nikki. Thank you so much for all of your hard work and for the answers. I do hope that indeed next year, when we see each other in Mumbai, there will be many more people talking about Swarm. And I truly believe in that, especially reflecting on that, finding the direction is one of the biggest challenges. And seeing all of the presentations that I've seen and you guys will see in the following hour, I think that direction has been clarified. And now a lot of the groundwork has been laid as well. And now we're so all excited to like get into the work and get, pardon my French, shit done. So let's do that as well. Thank you so much, Nikki, for coming on
Thank you.
stage and presenting on all of your work as well. Just to kind of recap a little bit of what Nikki said, that every protocol change and feature improvement makes Swarm more reliable, more buildable, and more stable, and clear guarantees, better tooling, more predictable environments. So if you are a builder, we hope that it's becoming easier and not harder, not more complicated, but way easier for you to use Swarm. And we're doing this for you. We want you to be able to build. We want you to be able to go through the documentation and understand exactly what is going on. So please, if you are a builder, if you're curious, we urge you to go and give us feedback on Discord. We always monitor that, and your feedback is something that is so incredibly valuable and something that allows us to build and improve all of the things much better. So I think we'll make sure we pop there and here the QR code to our Discord. But please make sure you come in and give any of the feedback, or even of the feedback of this. If you have any follow-up questions, I'm sure the team will be more than glad to come in and clarify. Is Remix, Devrel. And I just have a question to you. How do you see this integration benefiting the Remix users in regards to what Nikki was also discussing? What's your view on the importance of decentralized infrastructural layers such as Swarm?
Well, first, Remix is a tool that most people start their Web3 journey with. So it's a place where people are learning all these Web3 concepts. And so it's really important that we get people to understand decentralization and decentralized storage and, decentralized streaming as well. So it kind of fits into our outlook of where we want Remix to go and how we want to use Remix as a tool for collaboration. Here, I'll continue. Yeah, it's used. Remix is used by groups and by individuals. It's used in the browser. It's a no setup tool, but there's also a desktop version. And we also, like Swarm, come out of the Ethereum Foundation. We came out 6 months ago, so we're kind of new to being independent. But we started probably a little bit after Swarm started. So we're an old EF project. So the first part is we're interested in public data and decentralized hosting. That's going to be probably the first thing that happens this year. So we're going to host versions of Remix in Swarm and older versions of Remix. Sometimes we do a release and there's a problem, but people can't go to a previous release of Remix. But hosting it in Swarm, we could. And also we have a dApp builder in Remix. So you take a contract and it will generate a front end for that contract. And also there's some AI involved in there too to customize it. But the hosting of that dApp will also be offered in Swarm. And we also publish people can publish their source code and compilation result for verification of their contracts. And that's going to be done as well in Swarm. And we can do that through public gateways, a public gateway that Remix will manage. It gets a little bit more complicated when we talk about private user data. I mean, right now on Remix, there are no user accounts, but in the very near future, there will be user accounts. So people are going to be logging in with ENS or a number of other logins. But you can, once people log in, they want to be able to save their data in a external place. And Swarm seems like the obvious place to for us to look as a decentralized host solution. And so that data needs to be encrypted. And then the kind of interesting question is, how often does the data get pushed to Swarm? And we're looking into the temporary storage that then gets persisted at a certain point. So it's access control and and encrypting your data and making sure that it's always retrievable. So that's the stuff for the private user data. But we also want to make Remix robust for groups. So there'll be groups that could be formed from an ENS domain, and then there's group access to that data. And so then there's that kind of access control things with for the group, which makes it a little more complicated. And then also we wanted to have it so that the editor could have multiple cursors in it. So multiple devs are coding on the contract, on a specific contract at the same time, and they can see each other's additions. Similarly, like we have this AI assistant tool that can take prompts and update the editor. But we wanted to make the AI chat have multiple people in it, so that it's multiple people constructing their prompts that then the LLM responds. Everyone can see what everyone else is thinking about and trying to improve each other's prompts. So like a group vibe coding, or catching the vibe of each other's vibe coding, something like that. And so that means that we need to have a B node maybe packaged inside of Remix Desktop, which seems like that will be not such a hard lift to do. And but then so there's like messaging, there's access control, and some things like that need to get worked out. It gets more complicated with Remix Online, because then we need to have a Swarm node inside the browser, which isn't quite there yet, but we're very excited for that technology to be developed. I mean, basically, like we want Remix to be like a no setup tool, or in the case of desktop, just like a quick download and to get people to work. And then it becomes a really interesting, like secure, decentralized place to get to work in Web3.
Thank you, Rob, so much for joining us and giving the update. And I kind of gave this question to most of the people joining us today as well. If you want to share what has been the biggest challenge in the past months, then something that you have found a solution and have overcome.
It's been a lot about, I don't think we've overcome it, but we're working, our AI integration is improving, and we have an MCP server, but there's like so much information coming in. Sometimes we've integrated too many MCPs, and that then creates problems of hallucinations in our server. But I mean, in what the LLM produces. But integrating like the AI chats into Remix, and integrating AI chats into our educational offerings, like the tutorials inside of Remix, is it's an interesting problem, because you want to teach people, but you also know that they're going to be using AI to find the answer. So it's trying to find the balance, and I think we're getting there.
That's super amazing to hear. And indeed, AI integration it has its core, and it seems to be quite consistent through all of the different teams working with Swarm. So thank you so much for all the hard work and all the best in the challenges and the Q1 of the 2026. Thank you, Rob, for taking your time this evening. I
Thank
will
you.
let you go
We're
off.
looking forward to it.
Thank you, Rob, for joining us and giving the explanation of how Remix is going and how you guys are climbing up the mountain for the integration of artificial intelligence. I will be excited to speak to you back at the next community call. And up next, someone that you probably have seen and heard from before already, our one and only Andras Aranay, who is a SolarPunk Chief Technical Officer and contributor developer for Swarm Foundation. He will present a proof of concept for identity management, a project led and developed by Shaha, an ecosystem partner of the team. Andras, the floor is yours. Please come on and explain to us all about the identity management.
Yes, thanks, Miguel. Hi, everyone. So today, let's talk about kind of a missing piece of the puzzle to realizing a true content economy on Swarm, and that's identity. So right now, if we're honest, identity on Swarm is tied to infrastructure, not people. So your identity is effectively the B node you run. If you switch computers or use a gateway, you might lose that continuity of identity. And while this is not a big issue for most cases, but it's kind of a blocker for certain use cases. So for example, you can't build a creator economy if you're a creator and you potentially lose your access because of a transient address of a node. So our objective is simple in this regard, but critical. So to decouple the user from the infrastructure. And why? Because once you have the portable identity, you unlock a lot of business features that can drive Swarm and content economy forward. So such as subscriptions. I want to pay you, not your node. And token gating. I can prove that I own an NFT to watch a stream, regardless if I use a gateway or any node. And marketplaces, so I can buy content that belongs to me forever, and I can verify that. So that's very important. So how do we actually solve this? So we propose a hierarchical trust model. So it starts at the top with the master identity. And this is your self-custody wallet. It works with any Ethereum wallet, or it can even be a passkey. So it's the ultimate authority on the top. But you don't really want to be signing every little chat message with your main account, because that would be a big hassle. So from this master identity, we derive personas. So think of these like context-specific identities. Imagine you might have a creator persona for uploading videos, and a separate viewer persona for browsing and just viewing videos. And these should be portable as well, and that's a key here. So you can take your creator persona, for example, from your desktop or laptop, and then you can like migrate it to another device, and the network will still know it's you. And finally, to making actually life easier, even easier, and the UX more clear and convenient, use session keys. So these are derived from your persona, and they are temporary, and they're really just for convenience. Imagine that you log in with a passkey, with a Touch ID or Face ID, so it's really easy. And then that creates a session key that lasts for, like, let's say an hour or even less. And it can sign uploads and chat messages instantly in the background. So, without wallet pop-ups every 5 seconds, which would be, of course, like not a good user experience. So we can make that go away. And if these session keys are compromised, they are temporary, they expire. So it's not a big deal. It's not a huge or minimal security risk. And so this hierarchy, the master, the person, the session key, is really what we are building as Swarm ID as a solution. And that will turn Swarm from essentially like a hard drive into an actual user platform where the content economy can thrive. So currently the Swarm community team, Snaha, is working on a proof of concept for this particular Swarm ID. And this work will eventually lead to an MVP solution, and that will enable a wide range of applications, including, for example, multimedia streaming apps, to adopt this as their own like main identity solution for Swarm. And so we're hoping that will boost adoption and it will open up a lot of opportunities. So thank you, and back to you, Miguel.
Thank you, Andras, so much for the update. Any chance we can have Andras back just for a second as well? Very minimal question as well, because I know that Andras is working on a lot of different tools that we will see you back for the streaming as well. But specifically when it comes to identity management, indeed, what was your biggest challenge in the last months that you overcame and find the solution, or maybe you're driving to find the solution in the beginning of Q1 of 2026?
So I guess the biggest challenge is to do the POC, so to kind of come up with a solution that will work in the long term, and then it will not be, like not run into some security issues down the line. So we're essentially creating the groundwork for a long-term solution for identity on Swarm. So once we have that, like every application that builds on top of it, it can be sure that it will be here to stay, and the identity will be always verifiable and secure. So I think that's the most important challenge and kind of the focus of our work as well.
I always love hearing verifiable and secure. And I think that's what Swarm always really focuses and tries to deliver on as well. So thanks, Andras. I'll let you go to grab a coffee or a tea. We will see you not too long after this as well. But I would love to introduce our next speaker, Aaron. And I'm very excited because we're going to do a very, very quick 101 on Bport and how it is a bigger part of the multi-chain package. So hopefully we're going to learn something new. Thank you, Aaron, for coming, and let's dive right into the tutorial.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Web3 user experience is bad. So this phrase is overused. Unfortunately, it's true, and partly it's done on purpose. So we are trading usability for security, trust minimization, and decentralization. This shouldn't give us a free pass, though. We need to strive to achieve better UX. Swarm is no different, of course. We care, and we continuously identify our pain points. This year, this led us to the realization that we need to introduce multi-chain payments. Currently, to use Swarm, you need XDAI and XBZZ. For an end user, this means they need to know what tokens are, what bridging is, what swapping is, what sidechains are. Obviously not great for adoption. The proposed solution is to accept multiple chains and tokens. So for example, I can use my ETH from Ethereum main chain and use that for Swarm. We worked on 2 projects this year. What they share is that they both use multi-chain payments. The first one is Bport. That's a graphical user interface to upload to Swarm without running a node. And the second one is multi-chain funding. That should help end users set up their B nodes more easily. First, we're going to look at Bport. So this is the main interface where the end user selects what chain and token they want to use, along with the capacity and duration of the storage that they want to purchase. And they need to sign one transaction, and Bport handles the rest for them. I'm using MetaMask. I'm buying storage on Swarm. And once this transaction goes through, I can start uploading. I'm going to upload a folder. It's a statically built website, so it has an index HTML and follows a website structure. That should enable automatic hosting on Swarm. So once I click upload, I'm signing a transaction to confirm that I'm the owner of the postage stamp that was purchased on Bport, and the upload goes through pretty quickly, and we get a reference to our upload. But we can do a bit better than that, and an excellent feature of Bport is that it has ENS integration built in. That means that without leaving Bport, we can register a new domain. I'm going with flaggasser.eth. To register an ENS domain, we need to do two steps. The first one is the commit transaction. After that, there is a 1 minute waiting period to prevent front running. This is enforced by ENS. And the second step is completing the actual registration. After this transaction goes through, we are now the proud owner of the domain. To set all things up, we need a last step, and that is linking our Swarm upload to our new ENS domain. So we are going to the Set Content Hash tab, clicking one button, signing one transaction, and after a very short time, we should be seeing the success message. So this gives us multiple ways to access and share our content, now with a human-friendly ENS. And this is a flag guessing application, now decentralized on Swarm. So that was Bport, and now multi-chain funding. So I'm going to show what it looks like to set up a B node from scratch. So I'm first creating a folder. I'm using the Swarm CLI quick start command to download the B node, deploy a configuration, and print the command that I need to run my B node. And within 4 seconds, I'm already stuck. So I need to fund my B node. And previously, this was an exercise for the end user to figure out how to do that exactly. But now we print a funding URL that the user can visit, and it works very similarly to Bport. So the end user can select what chain and token they want to use, sign one transaction, and then multi-chain funding handles the rest for them. So it uses the relay network to cross-swap to the Gnosis network. Then we use SushiSwap to swap XDAI to XBZZ, and we transfer the leftover XDAI to the node wallet. The user doesn't need to know this. It's simplified for them. And now we can see that the B node is unstuck. It can continue with the startup sequence, and we can go to a new terminal tab and run the Swarm CLI status command to verify that indeed our B node is starting up, and we can also see that the wallet is properly funded. So that was Bport and multi-chain funding. Bport is already live and you can use it, and multi-chain funding is coming soon with the new B release. Thank you, and back to Miguel.
Thank you, Aaron, for the tutorial. I think what you were showcasing truly echoed what Nikki was saying, make things easier for developers. And I actually had a developer building something. So the integration of the multi-chain funding and having this very easy UX to fund your wallets, to have enough resources to go forward, it is going to solve a lot of the issues and a lot of the struggles, that kind of a confusion, or maybe even let down your arms and like, okay, I'll do this later, and then maybe never even coming back to it. So I think this actually will have a lot of practical outcome and a lot of practical benefits as well. But I actually, before I let you go as well, one quick question for you. Where do you see, and you can answer this from Bport perspective or multi-chain funding, where do you see the best user case in a very practical sense as well, right? So beyond obviously making the UX much, much better and usable for the developers.
Oh, what I like, imagine just you are browsing the web as usual, but you are actually using Swarm underneath most of the web applications without you noticing. So with the help of UX-friendly tools, I think that's a possibility, and that should yield success.
And just I mean, you are in a Swarm Solstice community call. You should know by this point, but could you tell just in a sentence or two why is it so important and beneficial for people to browse on Swarm in a back end?
Well, it's not important for everyone until it becomes like very urgent. Like as soon as your privacy or anonymity is compromised, it can be used against you. Then it's no longer a privilege and you need to do something about it very quickly. So, sure, a lot of times it doesn't matter until it does.
I completely agree with you. And I think this year, and especially in Web3, people starting to talk far more about privacy is something rather unique. Like I've been working in privacy industry of Web3 for over past 5 years, and we've been kind of the dark hooded guys in the basement. You know, no one really cared that much. And now, where the society in the world is heading, we're seeing far more care and far more interest. So I truly do agree with you. I do hope that far more people will not only make privacy normal, but privacy mainstream. And I think that the Swarm solutions is something that has the capability both on the technical and UX end to do exactly that. So thank you so much, Aaron, for coming and showing what you've been building on, and all the best of luck. We'll see each other in the upcoming calls as well, hopefully, and get some more cool updates and see what else is being built on these items. Thank you so much, Aaron. Now, I am incredibly excited for the next guest because we will continue showing things instead of just talking about them as well. And I would like to introduce a Nidish, who is a developer at Solarpunk. And Solarpunk has taken over the maintenance and further development of the desktop app, an ultralight client tailored to those who can't or don't want to run a full client, but still want all of the benefits and the autonomy in the network. So to create this lightweight desktop app is something that I was incredibly looking forward as well, because it makes it far more approachable for people. So Nidish, I'm super excited to hear and for you to show for the people what you guys have been building. Take it over.
Definitely. Thanks, Migle, and hello, everyone. So, when people usually interact with a decentralized system, there is an invisible threshold that they have to cross. They need to understand what the system is doing, what they control, and what they don't. And that's precisely the problem the B dashboard is meant to solve. So it exists to turn Swarm into an understandable system. And usability here doesn't just mean a nice interface, it means something deeper. You understand what you and your node is doing, you can operate it without fear, and you can build on top of it with confidence. So the starting point of all this is just simple visibility. When you open the dashboard, the first thing you see is your node state, whether you're connected to Swarm, whether your wallet is set up, whether your checkbook and balance are in place. And this is intentional. Before you upload a file or do anything on the file manager, you need to know which Swarm environment you're connected to. And from there, mostly you can naturally move on to files. And at the most basic level, we support traditional upload and download flows. So you can upload a single file, a folder, or even a static website, and you can retrieve content by Swarm hash or ENS. But that is only the first step. Where usually usability really starts to matter is when files stop being one-off uploads and start becoming something that you manage over time. And that's where the file manager comes in. So it introduces a workflow people already understand: drives, files, versions, and lifecycle. Instead of thinking in hashes and manual stamp handling, you work with logical drives, file histories, and clearly defined retention behavior. So this also means version control becomes a usable concept. So when a file changes, you're not forced to overwrite it blindly. You can keep history, understand what changed, and decide how that evolution could look with the ability to restore previous versions. And when files are no longer needed, you're not immediately dealing with irreversible actions, but you can move things to trash, keep them away from your view, or even explicitly forget them. while you still know that they're out there until the stamp expires. Or you can also destroy the entire drive and the stamp. Under the hood, everything is still Swarm. You have immutable chunks, postage stamps, and its protocol guarantees. But on the surface, it feels like a system that you can actually live in. And as you work with drives over time, you start to see how storage behaves, which files have more versions, which ones are aging, how long they're meant to live. And the file manager also creates this clear boundary between organizing files and understanding the protocol itself. You don't need to think about chunking, stamps, or expiry mechanics while working, but you can still understand their impact through the file info and the way that the drives evolve over time. And beyond files and the file manager, the dashboard also covers the things that keep a node usable day to day. You have account settings and node status. So, stepping back, what is the B dashboard and the file manager really about? It's about making participation in Swarm feel safe and repeatable, because adoption will come when Swarm feels usable, predictable, and more familiar to use. Uh, Thank you so much for listening, everyone. And with that, I'll hand it back to Migle.
Thank you, Nidesh, so much as well. And uh, as to everyone, I enjoy asking the questions. And what was the biggest challenge for you in the last weeks and months when you've been building this out?
So while we started, planning and building the entire initiative in the, file manager, what we were planning was for, ahead, we wanted to have features that would make the file manager a little more usable, like, the access control try integration, other things that would add more value, like, there are other initiatives that we've planned, but we had to make it future proof. We had to make it in a way that we can add more modules on top of it, and it becomes easier to add all these other modules on top of the existing implementations, making it usable. But with the fact, like how we've discussed, we also need to make sure that everything is secure in its entirety, as it's a decentralized protocol. So having that entire trade-off and fine balance of making it future proof and also making it secure and usable.
Yes, secure and usable. Again, I love that these words keep on coming back to everyone organically. That's something that we're trying to do, right? Not just build something that is flashy and cool just because it's trending, but actually something that will be usable. And speaking about usability, where would you like to see this being used by the developers and by the users in the next coming months as well?
So how we built the file manager is in a very modular fashion. It's not just as an integration on top of the B dashboard and Swarm desktop. It's meant to be independent module in itself, in the way that it can be added to other applications. It can be used directly from the Swarm desktop, or you can use make your own applications on top of it. The library is open source, and the file manager module is also out there to be used, so everyone can make their own application. So it's open to builders and users alike.
And are there any tips you can give for someone that is looking today and are like, this looks super cool. Where do I start? Where do I begin? Where do they go? Where do they find the information? And maybe where can they even ask questions if they have any?
Definitely. So a very good starting point to start using, the file manager and the B dashboard is the, Ethersphere B dashboard repository. In that you have the file manager module. There's a separate, file manager library, managed in the Solarpunk Ltd. It's an npm package that is also there to view, and there is obviously existing documentation available on the Swarm website. So all of that is up for use, and the major entry point for at least on this B dashboard would be the Ethersphere repository for B dashboard.
All right, Nidish, thank you so much. And hopefully, when we see each other at the next community call, we will welcome a developer that saw this today and got inspired and built something on top of it, right? I would love to interview and get their experience and understand how can we make it even easier for people to use something that is reliable as well. So thank you so much, Nidish. We'll be seeing each other soon as well. And now we're entering, I think, I am biased because I come from a media background. So I have my favorites into today's presentations and what Swarm team is working on as well. And multimedia streaming, the restricted solution, is being developed by Solarpunk as part of the ongoing fellowship as well. It's a tooling on top of the Swarm network. And Andras will come and present the multimedia streaming solution that has so many incredible user cases as well. So I would like to welcome back Andras.
Hey, hi.
Welcome back. All right. Please tell us all about it. What has been going on? What is up in the development? I really want the community to see this tool. I think it's not getting enough shininess and approach from others. So let's make sure that people start building more on top of it.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. So let's talk about MSRS. So that's short for multimedia streaming restricted solution. So we moved beyond our earlier demo app actually that we already showed that streaming is possible on Swarm, and we used that demo early in the year, and I guess everyone kind of saw it as a first, like full decentralized streaming, which is possible on Swarm now. But MSRS itself is designed to be like as a scalable business-to-business tool, essentially, and it allows partners to onboard their audience in a fully decentralized manner, into a decentralized environment, technically. So the key feature here, I would say, is the zero cloud dependencies. So everything you see, as far as for the streams, but with everything that you see on the UI, the video segments, the playlist manifest that we're using for the streams, and even chat messages, they live on Swarm. So we aren't using any centralized cloud providers for the hard stuff, right? Like for streaming, it's the usual Web 2 way now. So we are not using any of that. So everything lives on Swarm. And we also integrated a full social experience, essentially, because there is a live chat, which is not a plugin. It's not a Web 2 plugin. It's built on Swarm, and it's using Swarm feeds, and technically Swarm feeds are aggregated into a real-time chat wall. And we also tackled the playback experience because it's seamless. It's a seamless transition from live streaming to video on demand. So the moment the broadcast ends, the replay is instantly available. So for that, video kind of turns into a video on demand, and there is no need for processing and no need to waiting. It's just there. And to run a B2B platform, you have to consider a few things. So you need like strict resource allocation, meaning that we need to clearly separate who is streaming, so who is like using the right permission to stream, and who is watching, so all the ones who are reading the streams, essentially. And by coupling the streamer identity with a postage stamp, we ensure that the partner stamp usage is isolated, meaning one partner running out of storage or like streaming too much or anything, it won't break another partner's streams. So they can be confident that the system works for them as and for their audience as they expected. And how this solution looks under the hood a little bit. So we use a specific node hierarchy to make this work at scale. So there are private to write nodes, and essentially they are more locked down. So no one can touch them, only the kind of the owners, in this case, the partners who are streaming on their own partner platform. And so these private nodes handle the secure ingestion of the RTMP stream from the broadcaster. Right now we're compatible with OBS, but essentially any other RTMP tools are welcome to be used with this system. And there are the public read nodes, and they are there to serve the content to the viewers. They can be accessed via gateways, so there is no barrier of entry. But of course, if you have your own node, then you can also use it as a read node in the future, so you can watch streams directly through Swarm. And there are the aggregators. So the aggregators are lightweight services that they listen to the stream state and the chat operations, and they're updating the Swarm feeds that constitute of the front end. So the Swarm feeds that are serving the content on the front end, because the front end itself lives on Swarm as well, by the way. So, and by the ingestion and aggregator components are currently standalone services, so meaning that you have to run it on your own, but anyone can essentially run them on their own infrastructure. So that their own infrastructure, so they don't have to use any kind of vendor lock-in or any kind of cloud infrastructure if they don't like. And we are continuously evolving this tech. So eventually, like all the components will be running in a fully decentralized manner, and we have plans and a roadmap for that as well. So in summary, MSRS proves that you don't need to sacrifice performance for decentralization, because like streaming is essentially like a very performance-heavy application, and we managed to do that on Swarm. So it proves that you can decentralize anything. And we built it as a sovereign censorship-resistant broadcast tech that you can give it to partners, and actually it's ready for real-world applications and partners. So we're very excited about that, and soon you will actually hear about it more from Danny, that there are some people and partners who are using this technology already. So I think let's introduce Danny and then hear more from him. Thank you.
Thanks, Andras. Indeed, I am incredibly excited about the recent updates here as well. And indeed, I want to hear more. So without any further ado, let's welcome Daniel Weber, who is a BizDev lead, to develop a summary and the prospects of connecting the identity management chapter with the streaming as well, and going a bit further deeper into what partners and what usability cases we have that are. Danny?
Thank you for the introduction, Andras, and also Migle. Good to see you, Migle, again. Yes, I'm actually in a very good situation, because I'm following up the presentation of Andras and Nikki, and they've told most of the components that I'm going to summarize and sort of speak about. So as Andras has said, we have passed the stage that was just about demonstrating that you can watch actually videos on Swarm. What MSRS proves is that Swarm can deliver a fully interactive multimedia experience. It's live broadcasts, on-demand replays, chat, and reactions. These are all combined into what a Web2 platform that we use some of them we use every day. These are all combined, actually give you the same offering. But there is a plus: the resilience and the freedom of the Web3 infrastructure that you are using with that. So, as Andras said, this isn't just a prototype. This is actually a technology that now is the backbone of the solution that we provided for the collaboration with Crypto Mondays. And Crypto Mondays has a grand vision to become the largest content provider of Web3 content, connecting tens of thousands of people globally, as per their vision. And actually, they chose Swarm to make it happen. So they aren't just hosting files; they are actually building a global, unstoppable community of a multimedia library for this community on our network. And we are certainly not stopping there. We know that the next step is to provide a full functionality and make it frictionless for the users. As you have heard from Nikki and Andras, as we speak, we have multiple teams in the community working on making access and identification seamless. So we are moving towards a future where logging into Swarm will be as easy as opening a browser or tapping an app on your phone. No friction, just connection. And once we solve those pieces of the puzzle, it will unlock a total parity with Web2 solutions. You can imagine a world where you can directly support your favorite creators, easily access exclusive gated streams, and have private and secure chats as well. So a true creator economy where the users are in control. Back to you, Nikla.
So thank you so much for this, Danny. And I think we are now shaping our ways to get into the next section. And something that actually what Danny mentioned, what we've already discussed in the panel, but wanted to bring it up here in our community call as well. Something where we are with the artificial intelligence and how ready we are in this industry to fully integrate into ourselves. So first of all, we look at the readiness of it, right? We currently have the challenge that AI is reshaping how data is used, combined, and monetized. And with that comes a lot of the different risks. AI becomes another axis of centralization. The models are currently controlled by a few players in the industry. The data pipelines through centralized clouds go through it, and users with zero visibility into how their data feeds the systems, right? A lot of the users are completely unaware how their data is being monetized, utilized, and trained for the AI models. So that is something interesting and something that Swarm really wanted to address and start building upon, because they saw that it goes along with the values that they have established already. So Swarm's role in the integration of artificial intelligence in our industry is to provide decentralized and privacy-aligned storage for AI workflows to support the data pipelines that don't require trusting a single central operator, and ensure that AI has a truly decentralized data layer. So over the last half a year, the Swarm team and a Solar Fund have started making Swarm AI ready. And there is no better person than Andre to come and explain what we have with the MCP, where we are from the proof of concept to a working universal adapter for AI tools. So without any further ado, Andre, please come on stage and walk us through what Swarm has been working on.
I'm sharing the slides. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. So we talk a lot about AI agents, but right now, almost every AI agent has a major issue. It has no long-term memory of its own. So its brain could be in a cloud. Its memories like logs, files could be in a centralized database. And were someone to pull the plug from the database, basically the agent would forget everything. And that's precisely why we developed the Swarm Model Context Protocol, or Swarm NCP for short. And just as you said, you can think of it as a universal adapter. For an analogy, you can think of a computer who needs a driver to talk to a printer. In the same way, AI agents need MCP to talk to Swarm. So it acts like a bridge where modern AI frameworks like Hashgraph, ElizaOS, and others can easily interact with Swarm without needing custom complex code. So the goal was simple: to decouple the intelligence from centralized storage memory. And for this, we basically provide agents a hard drive that cannot be erased and cannot be deleted, also cannot be censored, which is very important. And to put this into practice in the real world, we've developed the Hashgraph Swarm plugin for the Hashgraph conversational agent. So this is just theory. Right now, Hashgraph agents can leverage 3 critical autonomous actions that interact with Swarm network. Like an important one is buying storage. So agents can autonomously both purchase and reserve storage space on Swarm. They don't need a person in the loop for this. They can also create immutable memory, so they can upload files, folders, thoughts to Swarm, and that data cannot be tampered with, cannot be deleted. And also, they can manage their identity. So we have something called Swarm feeds, and agents can leverage that to create a mutable identity. So over time, they can upload data that basically gives their state, their identity, and even if, let's say, the server hosting the agent were to shut down, restart, that data would still be there, it will be preserved. So combining Hashgraph's consensus and speed with Swarm's permanent memory, we are able to move beyond simple chatbots. So we can create something like autonomous data archiver agents, which have their own data indefinitely and have access to it. So this is a major, I would say, a major step forward in the agentic economy. And I know Ty has some great insights into how this fits into the overall vision for Hashgraph. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you to Andre. And Danny, how would you sum up the efforts towards decentralized AI and DeSci? Do you see these worlds meet, and how is Swarm coming forward to serve them?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for the question. Let's start why we believe that all of this, what you have seen, is important, and why it is important. And already in the presentation, you've heard the word agentic world. I will try to put it into a very simple way to explain what is this and why we think Swarm has a very special opportunity to serve this agentic world that is coming up. So right now, what people are interacting with, these are like generic AI models. These are these massive monolithic LLMs that will try to that is that they are trying to do everything for you. But the future is not is definitely not going to be like that. The future is not about one AI that knows everything. It's all about thousands of specialized, maybe smaller AI agents that do specific things, but they do that perfectly. So we believe that the future is basically a series of AI agents that are specialized and most effective in certain subtasks. So we are moving from chatbots to agentic workflows. And in the near futures, you might ask your ChatGPT or whichever favorite agent you have to book a holiday. But in the background, what will really happen is that you will have a travel agent AI that knows your preferences, stores them on Swarm, for example. It will need to talk to your calendar agent to check your dates, which will talk to your finance agent to execute the payment. However, these agents, even if they currently exist nowadays, they are existing in silos. They are isolated software. So for this multi-agent future to work, they need to exist within a shared ecosystem. And the travel agent is useless if it cannot find or cannot trust a calendar agent. So what they need is basically an environment, and in that environment, they should, they will be able to find each other. That's discovery, talk to each other in a secure and immutable way. That's connection between them, and then remember and rely on the interactions. So building context, state, and data for trust. And all of that, if you take all of that, then we certainly believe that Swarm has a very special role in this, because with the combination of MCP, the feeds, and the fact that one can practice or guarantee granular access via the access control tries, this makes Swarm a logical candidate for this underlying communication infrastructure for the AI economy. What we have seen with the integration into the hashgraph ecosystem is not just only one thing that we are working on. There is work going on utilizing MCP and we are working on the ELISA OS to build in a connection with Swarm and enable people to use Swarm within the ELISA ecosystem as well. And we will continue with more integrations and more partnerships, so to help this agentic ecosystem to
I agree. I think it's very important, especially from the consumer perspective, that it is the power to the consumer to decide which agents can have what access to which data, right? I think that's
right.
kind of at the center of what Swarm is trying to create from the consumer's perspective as well. And what about the DeSci world? Because that's something incredibly exciting as well. And I think that we are even having a guest coming from it.
Yes, we'll have. Yes, there is a guest coming up. So let's sort of like define what we mean by DeSci or decentralized science. So what is happening in more and more countries, and in particular in the EU, is that the legislation opens the door for private individuals to contribute to scientific applications of AI, utilizing AI in most of the cases. So for them to share their individual personal data sets with these scientific agents. While this might sound very scary at the start, like why would someone share sensitive data, and what if that data leaks? The regulation actually builds up a framework where these secondary data marketplaces work in a way that the data that is being shared, though it can be linked back to the uploader, but it will not consist any personal data. However, the users who are uploading their personal data, they maintain their agency, so they can decide who they share the data with, and they can control precisely what data they actually share. So there is an opportunity to be part of these ecosystems, to be part of this movement of decentralized science, and we have already started actively working on these kind of opportunities. And here, as you said, we have a guest coming up, so I'm very pleased to welcome Thomas Clementi to our event.
Hello, Danny, and hello, Migla. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hello, Thomas. I was just about to introduce you, but maybe you can do it yourself. Thomas is a lead researcher in the Department of Software Science at Tallinn University of Technology, TalTech, and he's a co-author of a publication exploring personal health data spaces built on decentralized content addressable storage networks. Have I been correct, Thomas?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, before we go there, I also want to mention a fun fact. Me and Thomas are both Baltics. We're both from the Baltic states. And I wanted to say also welcome, Thomas. Indeed, you have recently also published a paper co-authored with colleagues at TalTech, examining the challenges and presenting ideas on how personal health data spaces in decentralized content addressable storage networks can serve both as the alternative to and a contribution towards the concept of health record bank within European health data space framework. That is incredibly interesting as well.
Yes, indeed. For the past few years, I've been working on my PhD thesis that deals with the problem of why existing health data is currently being underused for secondary purposes, and how can this situation be remedied. And obviously, health data is a very sensitive part of personal data. So there are several issues with this, but in my work I have identified 3 dilemmas that I have called the dilemma of accessibility, comprehensiveness, and ownership. And in my work I try to show how these dilemmas are actually unresolvable in the current centralized data management concept. So at some point I began to look for alternatives, and this is how I learned about Swarm. And I must say that I was initially truly impressed by the elegance of its solution. So since then I've been running a few B nodes and testing it in the context of health data, and I hope this will be very promising in the future.
And speaking also about the Swarm, what are the technical or architectural properties does an ideal DCS network meet? And how closely does Swarm match at this stage?
Yes. Obviously, the most important property is decentralization, and that means absence of any kind of central authority. This is absolutely crucial. But besides that, obviously what we need is scalability, because talking about health data, we potentially would like the network to accommodate the health data for the whole global population. And finally, of course, sustainability. So we have to be sure that the network is there for the foreseeable future and holds the data. So these, I guess, are the main properties of the network that would serve that purpose. Now, about how closely Swarm matches it, Swarm definitely has an ambition to solve all these, or to fulfill all these promises. And it's on a good path to that. But there obviously still is a long way to go. But I'm quite sure that technical problems can be overcome. So actually, besides the technical problems, I think there's even a bigger problem. And I would say that this is sort of a social inertia. So in my experience, I have found that it's actually quite hard to explain the concept of decentralization to people with all its consequences. And besides, there are the current legislation poses several obstacles. For instance, EU legislation doesn't allow storing personal data of citizens outside EU, but in the context of swarm, geographical dimension has no significance. So it's a bit difficult for to explain to people, especially non-technical people, this concept. So I believe that besides technical advancement, what we need to do is to do some sort of a missionary work.
Thomas, I agree with you. I agree. I myself lobby for privacy and trying to make that mainstream and inform the consumers about their data usage as well. But it's incredibly complicated. And I think the big issue is that we are in our own bubbles, right? So I come more from creative background, then I jumped into the tech world. And now I'm trying to bring kind of all my creatives explaining decentralization, its necessities, and etc. And while we have you here, coming from the science background, you see and work with your colleagues a lot that perhaps don't know this about this technology. Can you maybe take us through, whether it would be an anecdote to share how you have been trying to figure out the best and easiest way to explain decentralization and, for example, give examples of how Swarm maybe works and why is it necessary to your colleagues at the university and maybe your students as well? How do they take the information in? What do you see the patterns of feedback are? What are the biggest confusions? So that maybe we can learn from this as well and going forward, indeed, go on that missionary actions and try to explain and translate these complexities to the people as well.
Yes, the metaphor that I often use is a paper shredder. So when explaining how Swarm works, I tell them that just imagine the paper shredder. So here we have a document and we need to store it decentrally. So what we do, we just run it through the paper shredder and then distribute all the small strips of paper to different people. And that means nobody of these persons who each one of them holds just a small tiny strip of the paper, they don't know what kind of a document it is or what it contains. So it's perfectly okay that we actually don't trust these people. We just say that keep this piece, but give it back to me when I ask for it. So it's a magical paper shredder that works both ways. So if you have the magic key, the root hash, you can sort of call back all those tiny pieces and glue the original document together. And that metaphor kind of helps.
I love that metaphor. I'll try to utilize it as well. And what about the adoption? Do you see a lot of the resistance? Is it maybe perhaps just kind of seeing the patterns and what we see in the media as well? Do you see a bit more openness from your colleagues, specifically more within the science perspective to start utilizing decentralized tools? Perhaps my question is, how far are we from the real adoption, specifically within the academic space of decentralized tools?
To be honest, I'm a bit afraid that we are still pretty far. Again, from the technical point of view, it works. I've been running the B nodes and I've been doing experiments, and I know that it works. But it's still difficult to adopt it. So it's difficult, it's complicated to install the B nodes. It takes an effort. So I've tried to encourage people to run their own nodes, but what I see is that it's not so easy. So they sort of give up after a certain point. So I guess that what we really need is to make it much easier for just ordinary users to run the B nodes. That would help greatly. And what I have seen today was actually marvelous. This is what we need.
I was just going to add as well, I'm incredibly excited about the fact that Swarm is actually focusing on how to make this easier for developers, but also non-developers. And I think like me and you are the target audiences, right? Because we come from incredibly different backgrounds, yet we understand the technology and understand the cruciality of implementing it into day-to-day basis as well. So that's something incredibly exciting as well. And I agree, in making it easier for the users is something that Swarm has been putting at the forefront of the focus as well. But I just wanted to ask you before I let you go as well, Thomas. Thank you for giving your time and joining us. What, in your opinion, success looks like for DCA's based health data system in 5 years? And what role could Swarm realistically play in that?
I would say that we have to overcome the social inertia. That's the main thing. What we aim to do with my colleagues is to try to implement a certain proof of concept that we can actually demonstrate that it works, and spread the idea that way. So it's we've already tried this. Estonia is actually in quite a unique situation because we have a national health information system. So every citizen has their health data in a central repository, and it's possible to require or ask that data to be downloaded. So theoretically, what we could do is we could create an app, download all our data, and just store it on Swarm. And then we go to the doctor. We say that, okay, here's the data. You can do with it whatever you like. So that way we can just adopt it by example, or how you would call it. But it's a long path ahead.
And what would be, just as a final question, what would be more practical suggestion for us, the technologists, for the builders, but also for the audience members here today? There's a lot of people that are both investing, building on Swarm. What would be your greatest advice? How can we make this more mainstream and integrated?
Well, continue on that path. Make it easy to install so that it's just a point and click to install it. What I heard about funding today is extremely important. Funding is complicated, involving all these cryptocurrencies and tokens. People don't know much about it. So if you could just click a button and have a node running, that would help a lot. The second thing is spread the word. I guess this is what we are doing here right now. Well, I personally would like to see the size of the network grow larger. We need a larger network. But I suppose this is a little bit of a chicken and egg problem. So we need to have more data for the network to grow. So because so far it's still too small for I know many people still don't believe in that. They say that I'm not sure that this will really take off, and they are right. So we should sort of increase the level of confidence in that.
Thank you, Thomas. I think it's truly practical advices as well, and a very healthy reality check where we are outside of our bubbles as well, right? We can build the best infrastructure and the best technology, but if no one is really using it, we're not going to go that far. So in addition to building all of the amazing technology, I encourage all of the viewers today, truly take a moment and speak to your surrounding friends and family and try to explain in a very easy language why decentralization is so crucial and important for the future. So thank you so much, Thomas, for coming on and sharing this perspective from more scientific landscape. We really appreciate you being with us here today.
Thank you, Mikla. Thank you, everybody.
All right, now I want to go into a bit faster pace. We have a lot of still presentations coming up, what we're working on. Without any further ado, we're jumping into data provenance, and there is no better person to present that chart. He is the Chief Operational Officer at the Data Fundraiser. And Chart, take it over from you.
Hi, thank you. So I'm Chart from Data Fund. Thank you for having me here. So We have been working on the Data and Model Provenance Fellowship for a while, and our goal is simple. So make AI data flows and interactions trustworthy by storing provenance data on Swarm immutable storage. What we built for this? A reference toolkit with 3 components that work together. First, a gateway for the other components to use. It exposes an API that handles all Swarm operations, including stamp management. Second, a CLI tool. You can upload files to the gateway with provenance metadata attached and download them by reference with hash verification built in. Third, and this is new, an MCP server. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and it lets AI agents use provenance tools directly, which brings me to how our focus evolved. So when we started, the Sweep 37 was designed for human users uploading and verifying data, but the market shifted. Autonomous AI agents are becoming real and they need data they can trust, not just data they can access. Therefore, we build the MCP server so agents can upload provenance records, download and hash verify data, and even purchase and manage postage stamps programmatically. The sweep will be updated to reflect this evolution from human-centric to agent-centric provenance. This isn't theoretical. We're integrating the toolkit into Verity, an institutional data marketplace for tokenized data. The flow is such: data owners upload data, provenance goes to Swarm, and buyers can independently verify the hash matches what they purchased. And because of the MCP server, AI agents can join the flow and work autonomously. We're not done. The next big missing piece for provenance is cryptographic signing. Right now, we can verify what was uploaded, but not who uploaded it. That's in progress. We're accepting further feedback either directly or to the sweep from any interested parties to cover other use cases. And beyond that, deeper Verity integration and product hardening. So if you want to try it out, the QR code will take you to the MCP repo. And please reach out if you want to discuss how data provenance could complete your use case. Thank you.
Thank you, Chart. Always clear, always precise. I really appreciate that. And just one quick question for you. How will data provenance complete Swarm's AI offering?
So in the emerging AI economy, there'll be millions of different AI agents interacting with each other, and you'll want to have some control over them. So you will want to have some kind of an audit trail, what is happening. This is not only for data, it's also for other interactions. And this is where provenance on Swarm comes into play. It's basically a pillar to build trust in the agentic use cases. So it's needed by everyone, I think.
I completely agree with you, Chart. So thank you for coming in. And as I said, please, if you need, go look at the streaming of the video. Make sure you scan the QR code. Make sure you try it for yourself. And I'm sure you can always ask follow-up questions in the online space, and we will be more than glad to answer. Only by trying it out and penetrating, we're moving forward to making our technology more resilient as well. Thank you so much, Chart. And I really want to be jumping fast because I know there's a lot of information to be processing today as well, but we have a couple of more incredibly exciting things to share still. So from data provenance to something entirely else. In September, we heard that MetaProvide, another Swarm ecosystem partner, decided to address adoption challenges by developing IPSH, an interplanetary swarm hive, a protocol designed to bridge IPFS and Swarm. And I would like to introduce Henry Bergstrom, a tech department manager at MetaProvide, as well as Ramesh from Swarm's DevRel team.
Hi, it's nice to be here. Yeah, so I guess you want me to speak about IPSH and how it's
so we
working.
have Henry. We have Henry on stage. Are we getting Ramesh as well? All right, let's see. Yeah, let's take a second. I think we're getting Ramesh on a stage with you. You guys are working together, so we want to hear from both of you.
Yes, there he is. Hello.
Here you go, Ramesh. All right.
Now I feel at home.
Hello, everyone.
All right.
Hey, lovely to have you both here. And Ramesh, you are the bridge from Swarm to Meta Provide, and Henry, you are now introducing the idea to bridge IPFS and Swarm. So could you two please share what exactly is the idea behind this interplanetary swarm hive?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, IPSH is, in a nutshell, it's about fixing the contradiction that we have in the decentralized web today. So right now we have thousands of developers say that they use IPFS because they want decentralization, they want permanence, censorship resistance, and so on. But in practice, most of them are relying on centralized pinning services to have that, to keep their data alive. And yeah, we all know if that service goes down, the data may disappear. And this is even though it was on IPFS. So the market problem we want to address is quite simple. Developers, they want decentralized storage, but they buy centralized reliability. So it's not a niche problem. It affects NFT platforms, DAOs, Web3 front ends, research archives. Like it's basically any project that depends on decentralized content remaining available long term. So the result is that there's a huge gap between the promise of decentralized storage and the reality of how it's used. So what IPSH does is really that it's focused on bridging the gap. So we're not asking developers to change how they're working, but rather we meet them where they already are. So we target the existing IPFS ecosystem. And because these are the developers who obviously want decentralized storage. And we choose Swarm because it's one of the few networks that actually have built-in economic incentives for the data to stay available. So it's the missing piece that IPFS alone doesn't solve. So from a market perspective, IPSH is not competing with Swarm or IPFS. It's actually competing with the centralized pinning services. So the goal here is to replace those services with an open, incentive-driven alternative. And we also believe that onboarding is really, really important. If we force the developers to learn new concepts like wallets and stamps and pricing models on day one, they are not coming, and we see that. So we are introducing a tiered approach. So we start with a low friction FPS-like experience for the onboarding and experimentation. But once they're ready, we can offer a strong Swarm-backed guarantee. So the projects are ready to have persistence and have performance. So and also most importantly is that IPSH will be open source. Anyone can run a node. So which is important for trust and decentralization and for the Swarm ecosystem. So we don't really rely on one single company. It can grow with shared infrastructure. So in short, the market is IPFS users who need reliability. The problem is centralized pinning services. We don't want those. And the opportunity is to make Swarm the natural persistence layer for that market. And IPSH is the bridge that makes that transition realistic. So that's it in a nutshell. Ramesh, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Indeed, actually. So the points that you raised are really valid, right? So from Swarm's perspective, this is really about adoption. And there's already a massive IPFS developer base that understands content addressing, CIDs, and immutable content and the gateways. And so it's important to leverage those. And so IPSH in here lowers the barrier of entry so that developers can start benefiting from Swarm's data persistence and economic incentives without radically changing how they build their apps. So on a different note, as cypherpunks, we should be concerned about this current centralized nature of IPFS content. Very recently, we've seen AWS and Cloudflare outages, which affected pretty much every app that we commonly use. And there's research has shown that a single low-effort censorship attack right now can easily take down access to more than half of the content that is on IPFS right now for more than half of its users. And that's quite alarming. And so it is crucial that we have decentralized solutions like IPSH to provide this censorship resistant and robust access to IPFS content. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more progress on this and having even more solutions like these that empower true decentralization and censorship resistant access to our own data. So that's,
talk, right? Thank you so much, Henry, for joining us today. Ramesh, I would like you to stay into our next section of the call. I would like to also jump and bring Kalam on stage as well, because finally we are approaching the important topic and a sensitive topic that a lot of you most likely have been waiting till the end of the event, almost the end of the event, to see tokenomics. And Stuka Research was awarded a fellowship last year, and outcomes were presented in a last Swarm community call in November. The recording is still available on the X. It was a fantastic session. I loved it myself. I really recommend for everyone to listen to the whole call to get a lot of the context if you need. And let's hear from Kalam and Ramesh what the Swarm Foundation's research team thinks and what's currently on the research table regarding the tokenomics and the market design. Thank you so much. And Kalam, Ramesh, take it over from me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. To build on that point of where we were with Stuka Research last month in November, what that was a really good exercise for was to hold up a mirror to what we have and maybe what we desire. And then that's what we're coming today with, is what is actually on our agenda for the year ahead, because what is the best list of easy, obvious changes that we can and should and will make going forward. So within the research team, from the time of that community call until now, what we've definitely looked into is having those enabling withdrawals of stake nodes, which I think will be a massive lever into increasing node operator adoption and increasing TVL of the network as well. That's the low-hanging fruit that we can do and are committed to, and SWIPs are already in place. What we are more interested in is how we can actually build on the staking theme in general, which we may hear a little bit about from Ramesh, but we'll see on that point, which maybe some additional staking exercises outside of just running a normal node. So something maybe similar to a staking protocol that also permutates into a potential sponsorship slash, I guess we could call that sponsorship or subscription model, which opens up the anecdotes to potential futures market for us, which we're playing with, but not committing to in its infancy, but is certainly an interesting avenue for us to enhance our tokenomics at the minute. And then equally, all of that has to actually be underpinned by what Stuka Research was saying as well, and what we've been deeply talking about inside the research team, which is making alterations to the price oracle itself to have a more robust system that's less impacted by price, that actually stays much more within line with how we want it to moderate the network and the incentives that it helps to underpin in the first place. So there will be small and possibly frequent changes to that as we iterate towards perfection within that. Ramesh, well, I'd like to maybe hand over and see what he thinks about the research and community call that we had last November and what's on his mind for our 2026 agenda as well.
Thank you, Colum. Actually, I would really like to give a shout outs to our members from our community, like the Psychonaut and Oma from Stuka Research, and other community members who have been really active on Discord, offering plenty of positive feedback and contributing to our SWIPs on GitHub as well, to the various proposals. Um, so in the last month's community call, we had a rather lively discussion with Andrew from Stuka Research, and like we have actually discussed quite a few proposals that we've been doing research around. Some of them include improving various tokenomics aspects, increasing the staked amounts per node, implementing staking withdrawal mechanisms, better incentivization models for bandwidth, increasing various trivial on-chain metrics. So there's quite a lot of different topics around which there is actively research that's going on. So I think over the beginning of the next year, I think we will see a lot more announcements around various ideas in this direction. So lots of new exciting developments to look forward to for the beginning of next year.
Absolutely. To summarize that, I would say you can bet on a lot of change from everything incentives and tokenomics based for 2026. I'd say very few things will not change. Now, the change may be slight, it may be large, but that's ultimately what we're coming with in 2026. We're going to overhaul our tokenomics and incentives, I would say from start to finish, either in a small way or in a big way. And there will be frequent updates, as Ramesh says, as we go. And we're going to start with addressing some of the very good and very obvious points that were brought up in last month's community call. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Ramesh and Colum. I think we heard very consistent words today as well, where we're moving with Swarm as well, and a lot of the practical user cases, right? And a lot of the looking back and what is not working and what are the issues and actually addressing them as well. And I think that's incredibly important. So thank you so much. And I think the kind of conclusion of both what you've said is that we want to hear more from the community, and it's incredibly useful, right? So go into our Discord. I know that we're going to share the QR code. Most of you are already obviously in there, and continue giving us that feedback, right? And the more detailed and precise you can be with what are the issues and what are some of the challenges that you guys are seeing from your perspective, that's incredibly important. Like echoing what we spoke with Thomas as well, him coming from science field and being scientist, him saying that, hey, we need to talk a bit more in very easy language to people to understand why decentralization is needed. I think here is kind of a similar message of like, sometimes we stay a little bit in our own bubbles, and it is incredibly useful to get the feedback from the community. So guys, really, of course, when things are falling down and not the best, it's easy to give the criticism, but let's also do that when things are working. And today we saw so many great practical examples what Swarm is working on that I'm just getting more and more excited. So thank you, Colin. Thank you, Ramesh. I know that the community will see you in the Discord, and I will also see you in the next community call. Thank you so much for sticking with us for the very end of the hour. I wanted to make sure that the final guest has the strongest internet that I can find in my current building, so I changed the room, as you can see. I don't think I need a thorough introduction for this person, but there's no one better than Victor to come and give us a summary and look towards the future of where we are with Swarm and where we're heading. Victor, thank you so much for joining us today. I have a couple of the questions to go through with you. We've seen so many great demos today. We've spoken to so many of your team members, and wide ranging of the work tonight, right? From streaming and AI agents, personal file management, and from the foundation's perspective, what ties all of this together into a single direction for Swarm?
Well, hello everyone, and thanks for having me. So I think the unifying objective here is adoption of the network. And adoption needs to come from real-world use and products. There's the need to understand the users they serve, the business strategy, and they have to have viability, and they are straightforward the development cycle, marketing and outreach. So they need their own project. So here's the dilemma, that the foundation itself must not deal with these aspects really, which are really utmost importance, yet it's alien to the foundation's mandate. And this is why we need to foster a healthy ecosystem, so that product-driven development can be outside the foundation, and like the actually user-driven development can be. And as the foundation, we have to consolidate our tech and support all these kind of special features that Swarm is excels at with solid tech.
Thank you. That's a great answer, Victor. And hearing your answer, I can't help but think as well about Sanders' previous words. And he opened our event by having a very big responsibility and feeling big responsibility to the investors, node operators, and the builders. And as a president, founder, and architect, how do you balance competing expectations while staying true to Swarm's core values?
Oh, well, interesting question. So if this was meant to be a personal question, then yes, expectation of spending my time on such a non-developing issues is a bit non-trivial. And add with my kids and family, obviously uncomfortable reality of working too much and the work-life balance. But if you mean it as a question of the respective interests coming from these the expectations from these roles, then I have to say I don't think they are not nearly as conflicting as they seem on the face of it. So basically, yes. So 2026 with the year when the project really turns to the community, and we would like to see a actual unified approach in terms of our relationship with community, both in terms of the long-term investors as well as the contributors and developers, and so be it as kind of in terms of hiring the special people to deal with community, be it the sweep process that allows for developers to contribute and then maybe have more opportunities to steer the development of the project, as well as the new ambassador program. So I think the community is
I agree with you. And looking especially at the tools that were
health and science. They don't just generate data. So the question is no longer like how can we generate data, but actually who controls it and who can verify it. And Swarm matters now because it gives you a different baseline. So data can be persisted, addressed, verified, and so without any single party owning the data itself. It's actually a very, very interesting perspective, and it's a very different business model to public goods. I mean, data is a public good in the sense that it puts less monetary responsibility and pressure on kind of gatekeepers and middlemen. So it's not the rent-seeking middleman that controls most of the things, but actually gives sovereignty to people to use this data. And also the originators of data can also be rewarded for it in some very specific ways. So if you want resilience and provenance and autonomy, then in this increasingly centralized world, then the Swarm is really the answer. And so partly it's because the word conscious came to this kind of stage, and also partly because Swarm just reached a stage where it's kind of its maturity is satisfying, and we can serve many production use cases already.
I agree with you, Victor, and I think it's not only that the global arena has reached this point. I do feel like Web3 and our industry has matured and embracing more and going back to the cyberpunk values, right? So I am incredibly curious to also understand, looking at 2026, looking ahead, what are the core pillars that will define the foundation's focus, and why specifically those?
Oh, so the three pillars of the strategy, like of course, this focus of the strategy is the adoption, as I said. So, and the three pillars of the strategy is technology, token, and organization. And so these three obvious pillars, and also accompanied by cemented together by three theses on their intersection. So one is the product-driven development in the ecosystem, and how the tokenomics can serve this on the one hand. So how can we create a healthy ecosystem? On the other hand, like we have to single out some of the development focus to what we support from the foundation's part. It's mainly the verticals that Swarm excels at, and Swarm is kind of provides something outstanding and provides something that differentiates us from other similar projects, so to say. And we also talked about the organization of it. But let's mention that in the tokenomics, that's going to see quite a serious overhaul in the coming year. It's very important that we both cater for the needs of long-term holders, as also taking part through the BCZ, and kind of share the revenue stream, share the revenues of the whole network in a way that's kind of counts as a proper investable asset. And so in this way, kind of we trying to link some of the obvious user needs, like fixed term storage contracts, as well as the zero ether, zero cash entry for bandits incentives as well, and take it on board and make it a kind of a sponsorable part in given the staking of the BCC token. So it's this kind of an extension to what Ramesh and Kalmar talked about. And finally, it's we also have to realize that on the intersection of token and technology, that what we're trying to achieve with the foundation is improve this infrastructure, improve developer experience, and mainly this with the increasing the scope of available clients. So, for example, the by now, I think we already mentioned the e-browser client project, for example. That will make a massive difference in terms of potential adoption, because you don't need to install anything to use Swarm. And as well as combining with the zero crypto entry, or that's actually quite a strong proposition. And so soon we're gonna reach a stage where Swarm will be providing pretty much everything out of the box to extend the Ethereum ecosystem into something that's truly deserving the Web3 moniker that we came up with 10 years ago.
I love the overview as well. And I think for me, kind of the key takeaways would be that there is a clear focus, a very clear direction where to go, and also focus on making things easier for the builders and also for businesses to adapt Swarm's integrations and make really business cases.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Victor, for coming in and helping us to understand and look ahead and reflect on the past as well. Thank you for also being incredibly honest with us and reflective. I will let you go now as well.
Thank you very much, Hitler.
As we're wrapping up, let's connect back to where we started. So the broader Web3 space is moving back to the core values: privacy, permissionless, lean, and meaningful infrastructure. Swarm exists to provide a truly decentralized network that embodies those values in how data is stored, accessed, and streamed. The coming year will be about turning that direction into visible, tangible progress in AI readiness and identity in the UX and tokenomics. So thank you all for being here today and staying till the very, very end. Thank you for your support. And most importantly, thank you for your criticism and patience and your ideas. Please continue to go into our channels like Twitter and Discord. It remains for our devs and researchers and node operators the hub of information and communication with you guys, the community. We will be renewing the webpage as well that will provide all of the information and ways that you can join Swarm community further. So this concludes our Solstice community call. Thank you for being with us, and let's proceed together apace.